What if everything you believed about power was wrong? You've been told the narcissist is the dangerous one, the manipulator, the predator in the room. But Carl Jung discovered something that will completely rewrite how you understand power, control, and the quiet person who stopped responding to your messages. Stay with me, because what happens when an empath detaches is not what anyone expects. And by the end of this, you'll never look at silence the same way again. Here's what most people fundamentally misunderstand. The narcissist operates from hunger, an insatiable, consuming need for validation, control, and reaction. Jung identified this as a profound psychological fragility, the ego so brittle it requires constant external feeding to survive. The narcissist is loud because they are desperate. They perform dominance because underneath it, they are terrified of insignificance. But the detached empath? They've stopped being hungry altogether. And that, according to Jung's deepest insights into the human psyche, is where true power begins. Let's go back to the beginning. Because to understand what detachment really means, you need to understand what it costs. Carl Jung said that the most painful human experiences are not the ones that break us. They are the ones that almost break us, over and over, until we are forced to rebuild from something deeper. The empath who reaches detachment didn't arrive there casually. They arrived there through what Jung called the via dolorosa of the psyche, the painful road through repeated betrayal, repeated self-abandonment, repeated cycles of giving everything to someone who was constitutionally incapable of receiving it well. Every ignored boundary, every weaponized vulnerability, every moment of manufactured confusion, it didn't disappear, it accumulated. And here is where it gets dangerous. Jung discovered that the human psyche has a threshold. He called it enantiodromia, the moment when something pushed to its extreme begins transforming into its opposite. The river of patience, redirected too many times, doesn't evaporate. It goes underground, and underground water, Jung knew, carves canyons. The empath who detaches is not the empath who gave up. They are the empath who finally stopped leaking. All that emotional intelligence, the pattern recognition, the capacity to read a room, to sense incongruence before it surfaces, to understand what people mean beneath what they say, it doesn't disappear with detachment. It concentrates. It becomes precise. It becomes surgical. The narcissist never saw this coming. And here is exactly why. The narcissist's entire architecture of control depends on one thing: your emotional availability. They need you reactive. They need you explaining, defending, chasing, hoping. Every tactic, the hot and cold, the silent treatment, the sudden warmth after cruelty, is engineered to keep you emotionally engaged, to keep you inside the game. Jung called this kind of manipulation a projection of the shadow, the narcissist externalizing their own psychological chaos and requiring others to carry it for them. It works, until it doesn't. Because the detached empath has done something the narcissist is neurologically incapable of doing. They have sat with their own shadow. They have looked at their pain without flinching, named it without drama, integrated it without performing it. Jung called this individuation, and it is the most quietly revolutionary act a human being can undertake. The narcissist looks at their shadow and builds a false self to hide it. The detached empath looks at theirs and builds a foundation. Now here is the part that will genuinely unsettle you. The narcissist's greatest fear, Jung observed, is irrelevance. They can handle anger, they can weaponize your tears, they can reframe your pain as proof of your instability. What they cannot handle, what short-circuits every tactic they possess, is indifference born from understanding. Not the cold indifference of someone who never cared, that they can dismiss, but the warm, clear-eyed indifference of someone who cared deeply, understood completely, and chose to stop engaging. That is incomprehensible to them. That is the system error they have no response to. The detached empath doesn't leave in anger. They leave in clarity. And clarity, Jung understood, is the most devastating response to deception that exists. But here is what most people miss about this transformation. It is not about becoming cold. Jung was explicit on this point. The goal of individuation is never the suppression of feeling. It is the mastery of it. The detached empath doesn't stop feeling. They stop bleeding publicly. They stop offering their interior world to people who treat it as a battlefield. What emerges is something Jung described as the integrated self, a person who holds their sensitivity not as a wound exposed to the elements, but as a sharpened instrument they choose when and how to use. They still love, but they love with their eyes open. They still give, but they give from abundance, not from fear of what happens if they don't. They still feel everything, but they are no longer at the mercy of everything they feel. Jung said that the most powerful individuals he ever encountered were not the loudest, the most dominant, or the most controlling. They were the ones who had undergone what he called psychological death and rebirth, who had lost a version of themselves that was no longer serving them, grieved it honestly, and reconstructed from the inside out. The detached empath has done exactly this. They buried the version of themselves that believed love meant self-erasure, that boundaries were cruelty, that their needs were secondary to everyone else's comfort. They buried that version and they did not resurrect it. What returned was something else entirely. And this is where the power differential permanently inverts. The narcissist is frozen. Psychologically speaking, Jung observed that without genuine shadow integration, a person cannot grow. They can only repeat. The narcissist will run the same playbook on the next person, and the one after that, because they are structurally unable to do otherwise. They are, in the truest Jungian sense, unconscious, driven entirely by patterns they cannot see and wounds they will never acknowledge. The detached empath moves, they evolve. Every experience, including the painful ones, especially the painful ones, becomes material for transformation. They are not victims of their history, they are architects of what comes next. That asymmetry is the thing the narcissist will never understand. You cannot manipulate someone who no longer needs anything from you. You cannot destabilize someone who has already survived their own interior collapse and rebuilt stronger. You cannot win a game against someone who has stopped playing entirely. Carl Jung spent a lifetime mapping the depths of the human psyche. And if there is one conclusion that runs beneath all of it, it is this. The most dangerous person in any dynamic is not the one who causes pain. It is the one who has transformed their pain into something the other cannot reach. The detached empath is not dangerous because they will hurt you. They are dangerous because they won't need to. They have become, in the fullest Jungian sense, sovereign, complete, ungovernable by anyone who has not earned genuine access to who they are. And that quiet, absolute, self-possessed stillness, that is not the silence of someone who has nothing to say. That is the silence of someone who has finally said everything that needed to be said to themselves and found it was enough.